everybody. Thanks for joining us again on the Alex Hayes podcast. Today, I am joined by the one and only Ashely Wright. She is the owner of the Hemp Wellness Company out of St. John's, Arizona. She is joining me today to talk about her experience in acquiring her business. She bought an existing business from a previous owner founder, and today she is here to share some of that wisdom and insight of how did that process take place and what her vision for the future is for that company and how great this can be for a second generation owner to take over and flourish. With that, Ashely, thank you so much for being here today.
Hey, thank you so much for having me, Alex. I appreciate the intro.
Yeah, no, my pleasure. My pleasure. My pleasure. So with that, let's dive in a little bit into who is Ashely. Talk to us about you, who you are as a person, and what led you to business acquisition as your path.
So I've always wanted to be a business owner ever since I was a teenager. Back then, it was a chocolate shop. I've come a long way since then, but it's always been about just wanting people to just feel better. And so over the years, I was in the military for 8 years, a lot of being told what to do. I was in DoD corporate world after that, a lot of being told what to do. And then my husband and I just up and decided to move off grid and really take this path of wellness and, growing your own food, solar power, just trying to be more natural, lay of the land, appreciating what you have and not what you can get. So in that process, I started working for this hemp company under the previous owner, and I fell in love with it. I thought it was snake oil at first. I thought it works for some, not all, and I find it actually works 99% of the time. We can find something that works for you. And I became a believer. So when she wanted to retire, I was like, this is my chance. Like, please let me buy it. And she said if she were going to sell it to anyone, it would be me.
That's amazing. I love that. And so you had 8 years in the military service. Thank you for your service, by the way.
Thank you.
And yeah, and then you go into this process of what are you going to do next as a civilian?
hmm
And what was it about being a business owner and like really wanted to take this business that said, yes, I want to be a owner? Because a lot of people don't want to be an owner.
So I understand where people are coming from because it is a lot of work and it's not easy and it takes up a lot of time. But for me, so my husband has a lot of back issues. He's had 2 back surgeries, he has arthritis in his spine, spinal stenosis. So when I started being taught the manufacturing side of things, and I just started tailoring things into what he needs, I realized like this is something I want to keep for him moving forward. And once the opportunity came up, I had to jump on it. I mean, I've spent so much of my time in this business on the manufacturing side of things that I could see inventory. I could see when to predict for the next major show, for the next major sale. And that was something I noticed that was hard for the previous owner to keep up with. And I just had all these ideas of like how to set it up to be more successful in the future, and little things that I'm like, well, if she did this here, we could probably get our name out there more. Or if she did this there, maybe we could get to more people. So I was just really excited to just take it on. I'm a very, very energetic person. I have a very big personality and I'm a very alpha type. So when I see something, I'm like, I can do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. So I get a question a lot from the people I talk to, and it's from business owners that are struggling to find somebody to take over their business. And so that's why I was asking this question, because what are some of those traits that you think business owners can look for in a potential successor? What are those things that those markers that maybe the leading indicators to somebody like yourself that they can look to and say, yeah, this person has potential?
Starting with the heart. You got to have the heart for it. Like, if you don't believe in the business, it's just another day to day for you, is how I see it. I would expect someone to be as compassionate as me, for someone to love the brand as much as I do, and then to be that self starter, to already be a few steps ahead, to already, let me know, hey, we're low on this. We should probably do inventory and get going on this. That self starter and compassion for sure.
I love that. I love that answer, and that jives with some other successful succession stories that I've come across. Is that they usually have an eye for the business, and they've already kind of taken over a lot of those major op roles. Uh, what about the business ownership side is different though. When you're a business owner, it's much different than being the operator, right?
Yes.
Were those What were some of the things that you prepared well for in your transition? And then what were some things as stepping into a business ownership role that you wish you would have had more preparation on and wish you would have known before you had started that process?
So I already had a great hold on controlling inventory, the manufacturing side of things, training staff, managing hours, managing people. I already had a really good hold on that. The biggest issue for me was managing the website. We had a very, very small amount of training beforehand about how to run the website and what to do. My mom, who is like, she works for GoDaddy. She's a program manager for like website building, and I'd hope I could lean on her for that. But she's a program manager, so she has so many more things to do than to help her daughter run her website. So I wish I would have had a little more training opportunities to go over the website, because a lot of that I've been doing on my own, and it takes time. And what I found with the business is everything takes time, and how you manage your time is how you succeed.
I like that. I like that answer a lot. So a lot of it time management, but then a lot of it was maybe some of the things that you weren't as familiar with in the business, and because you were an operator and then you became the owner of everything. So
Hmm.
there were still some aspects you're saying of the business itself that you wish you would have had some training on prior to taking over. Does
Yeah,
that sound
yeah.
right?
And I will say, because, thinking now, probably a lot of people struggle with the financial side of a business, but she had her books so cleanly in order that when I took over, it was so seamless to take over the books, and, like, in income versus what you're spending. That was actually probably one of the easiest parts of all of this.
Wow. That's amazing. I love that. That's a lot of places that is a very common place where business owners get tripped up, is having clean books. And a successful transition, I think this is a really good testimony how a really successful transition starts with the books, having clean financial data to be able to pass on to the next gen. I think that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Let's talk about that initiation process of, hey, prior business owner founder says, I'm thinking I'm ready to retire. Like, how did that conversation go? Did it just come up randomly and say, hey, I'm going to retire now? Or was it like a long process of, maybe dropping hint? Like, how, talk to us about how this conversation got started. How do you do that?
So my husband was in roofing, and he has these back issues. So I am the type of person, I just kind of take everything on myself. And I was like, well, we got to get you off the roof. And I love to cook as well. So I was like, we'll start a food truck. I told maybe three people in this very small town, and the word got back to the previous owner. And that's how it came up. She called me and asked me how things are going, and I said great. And she goes, okay, because I heard you're going to start a food truck. And I think I'm going to have to sell the business. And I was like, oh, well, pause. Maybe instead of the food truck, can I buy your business? And it took probably about 5 to 6 months to work out all the details, acquire the proper funding, well, we worked with her broker, finding a title company, like those kind of things. So it was about 6 months from the first conversation we had to when I actually bought the business.
Awesome. And let's let's segue now into that. Like, how was that process, that 6 months process? What were the steps that you had to go through in the sequencing that led to a successful transition?
So we had to acquire funding, which is probably what most business owners come across as the hardest thing to do. Since we did move off grid, we bought everything cash. So we were able to like finance our off grid property to help pay for the business. And then it was just ironing out the details like inventory sheets, assets, and things like that, making sure that if they say they have something for me, they actually have it because they kept a lot of stuff like off property. So they were like constantly bringing things in and I'm inventorying, and they have a broker that's working with both of us. That's like, we're checking off this checklist. It's like, okay, did you do your asset sheet this week? Yes, I did. Like, okay, well, did you do your training this week? Yes, I did. So, a broker, working with a broker was really helpful because they kind of keep you on point with where you need to be and how your timeline should be going. Excuse me.
Awesome. I love that. And the checklist, the process, what were, other than the financing part, did you like the financing part of it? And it was just financing, basically getting it through your property through SBA loan, or how did you, what was that? How did that transpire?
So we just financed a mortgage. Basically, it was like a cash out. They considered a cash out refi, even though we never financed the house. So it was like a conventional loan where we just got all like we were like buying our own house kind of. And we just used that to pay like a title company handled the whole process.
Awesome. So you're making regular payments to the owner, or you were, or is it a lump sum fee?
It was a lump sum.
Okay.
So
So they wanted to
technically
just
I'm
take
paying a
the,
mortgage. My mortgage is basically my loan payment.
yeah. No, I think that's helpful to understand what kind of financial vehicles people have access to that may not consider. But the previous owner wanted to take their chips from the table all in one lump sum. Did they do, they didn't entertain any kind of seller carry or anything like that?
We did, but they wanted like a balloon payment. So it still wouldn't have really benefited us in the long run. So we just took the full amount out of our home and just applied that. But we're still very much in contact. She's still helping me when I have questions, things that I didn't learn in the year and a half working for her. We're coming up on holiday season. She's giving me tips on how to push products more over the holidays. And we had a slow month in September because there's another business a part of this one that it's a honey business, and it really slowed down. And she goes, "Oh, well, here, put out these little gift bags. They go right away." So we're still very much in contact.
That's excellent. And in contact, right? Was there a formal agreement in place for her to be able to help you for X amount of months or years after that sale, or is this more of just a relationship building that she wants to see you succeed?
So when we brokered the deal, it was 30 days of guaranteed training, but it's mostly our relationship. So we just have that kind of relationship where, like, for example, she's bringing me honey today. So, because I have a lot of honey to make for the season, because we're going into cold season. So,
I think, yeah, I think that's beautiful. Let's talk about some of those other aspects of going through the closing process of acquiring a business. What were
right.
some of those the legal things that came up that in this whole process through, maybe talk due diligence and things like that?
Right. So I had to get my business license, my EIN, and then for the state of Arizona, the transaction privilege tax license. But other than that, for this industry, there actually isn't a lot of red tape when it comes to that in this state. Every state is starting to like implement their own hemp and CBD laws, but for the state of Arizona, it is just like a basic retail license.
How did you guys go about handling any tax implications? Did you guys bring in an enrolled agent, a CPA, to talk about how to value the certain assets inside the business?
So I did take her on her word in a sense on that. I didn't have a CPA that evaluated everything. What she did was she broke down all of the income over the past like 3 years. And she had it very cleanly outlined in these spreadsheets where you can see, in this spot, we get money here. Because there's a little bit of nickel and diming around, if you will. Like we have our hands in a few different pots. So she could justify what the business was worth.
And how did you guys come up with the valuation? Did you guys pay a third party provider to give you a valuation, or did you come up to it for a reasonable estimation? Did the broker help you with that number? What was that like?
So I allowed the previous owner to do that, and I know typically someone does pay a third party, but her book. Well, we also I was able to acquire her tax records as well to kind of prove what type of income she was getting. So it wasn't like just her honorable word. We there were some tax documents involved, but also me working here for a year and a half, I've seen the type of income that comes through here, and I've seen the type of spending because I was the one, doing inventory and saying, okay, we need this month. So, and there was actually more income than I realized that was coming into the store because I didn't realize how many pots we had our hands in. So I was even kind of more surprising. I'm like, oh, we make even more than I thought.
That's very cool. No, I love that. And what would be lessons learned and how this process takes place that you would prepare next time if you were going to advise somebody or advise yourself on going through this similar process again?
Definitely training, more training on like the website. Taxes were confusing at first. She and I went back and forth a little bit because I like, for example, we're also a shipping company. Shipping isn't taxed, trying to figure out like where taxes fall into place because that taxes are probably the most confusing thing out of all of this. Just trying to figure out that you're paying your part and you're not going to get dinged because the IRS has like different tax deadlines that I had no idea about. Like that was probably my biggest surprise was having accountants from third party businesses calling me like, hey, I know you just bought a business, let me tell you all about taxes, and oh, by the way, it's about $3,000, use any of our services. And the previous owner didn't, she did all of her own taxes, she did all that herself, she didn't need a CPA or a tax lawyer. She really knew her stuff when it came to that side of things.
And what during this process went well? What was something that was like, yes, this was always good. This felt good. Like what through this process was something that really went well through everything?
There were certain parts of the manufacturing process that was proprietary to her. And when that, like, I got all of that knowledge, that was probably, I guess, the best, easiest part. Because I mean, I already had a lot of experience in making a lot of these products. So just the last little key, if you will, to making everything was that was probably the easiest part.
So basically playing to your strengths, the part of the strengths of the business that continued to go through with continuity because you were still at the helm.
Yes, yes, and probably all of our connections. There was no issue because we have, distributors, and I mean, we have like direct people that we get some of our products from, some of our ingredients from. That like it's just one person, So continuing those relationships was really easy and smooth.
That's excellent. That's a great point. And how did the customers feel about your acquisition?
As far as I can tell, everyone's fine with it. They've gotten used to me because I've been signing the bottom of emails for a year and a half, or if they call into the store, I'm the one they're talking to. It seems pretty seamless. There was one customer that contacted her after the fact to have something made, but she still relayed it back to me, and we both talked with the customer, and I ended up making it for her. So, verdict's still out on that one. It was a very special tincture for Tourette's that we're trying out. So, hopefully, I'm really hoping that one works out.
And let me ask you just a couple more questions about this process here. Did you seek out legal counsel, an attorney as well
No.
for like going through the contracts? So you didn't have any legal counsel, you just kind of looked over the documents and the broker was kind of mostly the go between.
Yes.
Okay, excellent. If you had to put together, if you had to make like say who was on your call it your board of directors through this process, is it only the broker? Did you have family? Do you have friends? Did you have like who was on your team that you had to help you kind of coach through this process?
My husband. It's just me and my husband.
You, your husband, broker.
The
There.
broker.
Okay.
And anytime I had a question about something I was looking at, I could reach out to the previous owner and just ask, like, hey, this was kind of weird. Or like the broker would throw something on our checklist that then the other owner would ask me, like, hey, did you ask for that to get put on there? Like that's a weird request. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. It's our relationship. I had a lot of faith in her. Her and her husband are really great people. And my husband and I see a lot of ourselves in them because we just have really funny things in common about ourselves. So I don't know. We did put a lot of faith that other people probably shouldn't, but it worked out really well for us.
Well, I think that just is a testament to how much trust, mutual trust, that you and the previous owner had, and how transparency can really make a business deal go through. If you can't trust somebody, then you really can't do business with them, anyways, right?
Right. Yes. I agree with that.
I think it's a beautiful thing when you have that much trust. And other conversations I've had with other business owners that had succession planning through their employee base, I hear that same theme come across a lot, where there was a lot of mutual trust between everybody, and it really, those seem to have a consistency of success, right? When you have trust between both parties, outgoing and incoming, that really helps set the stage for a as smooth a transition as possible. Let's talk about the first 30 days, right? You sign the paperwork, 30 days. That first 30 days, talk to us about some of those growing pains that you had to step into during that first process. You're the new business owner.
Yes, yes. I think I met you at my first event too as the new business owner. It was pretty funny how that worked out. I mean, it was chaos. It was chaotic. I mean, this is a active, fully functioning, we have orders coming in every day kind of business. And I pretty much had to hit the ground running. So, I mean, I take over the business and then we have a 3-day 4th of July weekend show in Prescott. And you need all of the inventory for that. And then right after that, I had to replenish all of my inventory right away. Um, by the 20th, you have to submit your taxes for the prior. Well, that one didn't apply to me yet, but I, instantly started having to track taxes, and inventory and getting a handle on inventory. I had so much more respect for the previous owner because I just felt like we were always having to order things, always trying to play catch up. And here I am trying to play catch up, trying to get ahead of inventory, and it's like not happening. I felt like I was trudging through mud trying to keep up that first month. So I'd say it took about 90 days for me to get fully comfortable where I didn't feel like I was just working around the clock, trying to just keep up with orders, keep up with inventory, keep up with shows. We had so many shows over those first 90 days. And then a big sale that everyone was expecting in September. It was chaos.
Yeah, it sounds like it. And so 90 days. So you had 30 days training, 90 days is what it actually took to right kind of not right the ship, but at least get it on level playing field, right? Where you
Yes.
felt like you had a handle on everything.
Yes.
What would you say attributed most to your successful transition in that 90-day period?
Family. I trained, so my daughter's 15. I started training her to help me in the store over the summer before school started. I started training my husband to fill in so I could, be making things where I used to have other staff members, and it just so happened that our one of our staff members at that time was leaving and the time I was taking over, so I had to hire someone new and train them while also preparing for a show. And yeah, my family, like really, my family is the one that supported me so I could get through all of that footwork.
That's awesome. So you really need to have somebody that loves you and trusts you and helps you through that initial process to really set you up for success.
I can't forget this, but my stepdaughter as well. My stepdaughter, she's 20, and she would come help me at the shows so my husband could stay home and like watch the animals because we live off grid and we have animals. So I have to throw her in there because she was a lifesaver as well.
You need a good support network for sure. You got a lot going on. You need people to help. You need to rally the team around around the cause. And that's awesome that you could rely so much on your family.
It was.
So now that you are on this side of the transition, what has been the, other than taxes, we talked about taxes already. What's been the biggest shock surprise of business ownership now that you're kind of got your head a little bit above the water and you're looking at the playing field? What's been the biggest surprise to you now looking at it?
um, I don't know. I don't know. I felt like keeping up with the inventory, getting ahead of the inventory, which I'm finally there. I just don't know what could have prepared me better for that. Because that really was it. I'm like, wow, I am constantly ordering and constantly fulfilling and replacing, and yeah, I I kind of had a hand in all the other things leading up to that, and then the taxes. Yeah, that I mean, I'm not sure really. It's been kind of easy.
Oh, I don't think it's, to you, I think it may seem easy, but I don't think it's easy one bit. I think that you are just, I think you're super humble and you don't realize how much you're doing. And that tends to be the case. You kind of get numb to the pain a little bit, right?
That's how I feel this month. So far this month, I'm just, people used to ask me when I first bought the business. They're like, "So how's it going?" I'm like, "A lot. It's a lot. That's how it's going." And now when people ask me, I'm like, I feel like I finally got a handle on everything. Like it was just trying to keep up. And now I feel like I'm finally getting ahead. So I'm not just keeping up anymore.
And talk to us a little bit how your business is made up. Like, what's the mechanics of your business? You said you have ordering, you're always ordering stuff, but if you had to like walk us through, I mean, you don't need details as far as who's doing what, but like kind of a high level overview of how your business is kind of structured and the different pieces of how it works together.
So we make a lot of our customer base through vendor events, and we also have our brick and mortar store here in St. John's. I have an okay amount of customers for the hemp side, but we are also a shipping company. And so that's where we really bring people in. So the shipping company brings people into our store. They didn't know we were here. They check out our products. We have testers and samples available. People love our soap, so that gives them something to look at while they're waiting in line. They'll ask questions, so they'll see something like, "Oh, sleep support. I need that," and then we'll be like, "Well, try it. Let me send you with a sample." And then 9 times out of 10, they come back. So we have our brick and mortar. Then when we do our vendor events, plenty of samples to try, plenty of testers to try. They 9 times out of 10 will come back. There is the little bit where they don't. And then from there, we have our online customer base. So then we have our website, and people, I mean, we ship year round in anywhere in the country. So I mean, we have foot traffic, we have vendor events, and we have online customers.
So everything from the ground up. So you have you said you have a shipping company. So so it's kind of like a shipping company. People come into your store to drop off packages, but then while they're there inside the store, you have your wellness products,
Hmm.
and that's kind of another lead gen. That's awesome. All right. So it's a couple, it's like a dual business side by side that supports the other.
Yes, and a little honey thrown in there too. So people will post on Facebook on the community page, "Hey, does anyone know where to find good raw honey?" And every single time it's like, "That's us. We can do that for you." And bee pollen too. So yeah, we have a little honey that also helps bring people into the store.
Love it. And you said that you were looking forward, right? So that was something that you had a really good vision for, of just being, well, if you did this, this, and this. Talk to us about what it is your vision is for the Hemp Wellness Company.
So I would love to get to a point to where we are extracting our own isolates, because one, in our industry, it's constantly fluctuating. It's like growing and then dying and growing and then dying, which usually has to do with like red tape, government guidelines changing, state guidelines changing. So I would love to get to a point to where not only are we producing quality products, we're also producing quality ingredients. So like I have a grower for our flour here in St. John's, but I outsource for isolates. And that it's more cost effective that way, But if we get to a point where we can start selling our isolates wholesale to other companies, that's going to be a whole other business that we can be running outside of this store. And then we would also benefit because we make all of our products from these things. So that's like my big goal, probably like 5-10 year goal. But for now, it's small things like I'm introducing a new CBG line into the business that I think is going to really take off. CBG is like the new thing that everyone's finding out about. We've had CBG for years, but I'm going to start marketing it more.
Awesome. And are you planning to take Arizona by storm? Are you going to go out and multi-state? Like, what's your growth strategy here?
So I do have a wholesale seller in Texas that contacted me a few weeks ago, and our products are on the shelves in Texas. So that's one start. I would love to operate state by state. I really would. I would love to open up another brick and mortar, say in like Washington or Oregon, because we have a lot of customers out in Washington or Oregon. Maybe New Mexico, maybe more this region for sure. That would be ideal.
Awesome. And then what are you most excited about inside your business?
Other than helping people, because that's my favorite part of this business is finding something that helps someone and like works for someone. But I think you're probably talking about like growth or success.
No, no, helping people is absolutely what, if that drives you, that drives you. And I love that. I think that's perfect. The it, who is your best customer? Maybe this is another good question. Like, who do you love to help the most?
Someone who swears it's not going to work. Swears. It's never worked for me. It's never worked for me. I'm like, well, you haven't tried our products though. And to find something to like tailor something to someone's needs, that's my favorite customer. Is the one that I've convinced like, yeah, it works and I've helped them.
I think that's beautiful. I love that. So if you're a skeptic and you want to be challenged and you want somebody that's going to challenge you, you need to reach out to Ashely and see if she can't make you a believer. Worst case, she makes you a believer.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah,
You
worst
know,
case.
like, yeah, absolutely. No, I love that. I think that's amazing. I'll leave one last kind of leave us some your best wisdom. If you boil down your whole process of acquiring this business and acquiring this in this journey, if you had to break it down to one first principle, what would you say that would first principle would be?
Motivation, even when you don't
Motivation.
want to.
Okay.
Even like do it even when you don't want to. Even when you're tired, you still have to do it. Like you have to persevere. Perseverance, I guess, would probably be it. Perseverance, you have to. You can't quit. You can't give up. You just have to do it.
I love that. That's such a solid answer. So with that, Ashely, thank you so much for your time today. I think this has been super helpful. I know our audience has gotten a lot of value from hearing from somebody that has gone through this journey of employee to owner and has done it successfully with high trust between the owner, previous owner, and yourself. I think that's a beautiful story. And I think our country needs more of this, honestly, needs more of this type of story of success where businesses can get transferred to a second generation and with the basis primary thing of helping people. I think I love that. I love that story.
Thank
So
you.
Ashely, thank you so much for being here. This has been amazing.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure. All right, we'll leave a link to all of Ashely Wright's socials, descriptions, links, everything where you can find out about the Hemp Wellness Company is going to be in the description below. So please, 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 especially if you're a skeptic and you don't believe that it can work for you, please check them out, give them a chance, and we will see you guys next time.